Welcome to Under One Roof MTL, where we are demystifying home ownership 1 week at a time. Joined in studio, as always, by the dynamic duo Fred Pichette and Martin Spalding of Fred and Martin Mortgages. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon, Robin.
We're having a lot of fun.
We are. Too much fun, some might say. Also joined by LJ Aguinaga of LJ Realties. Hey, LJ.
How you doing, Robin?
Very good, and super excited to have a special guest in studio with us today. Thierry Bourbonnais, the COO of Plex Doctor, joining us. We've been talking about you guys like crazy on this show. Super happy to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
He's
Robin.
a rock star.
He is a rock star. If, by the way, you have any property management questions, Thierry is going to be with us all show for the full hour. So you can text them or give us a call, 514-790-0800, and you can get those questions answered. We also have our trivia question of the week, brought to you by Felix and Norton Cookies. You can visit their store at the Blue Haven Shopping Center, 3705 St. John's Boulevard in DDO. The first person to text in the correct response to 514-790-0800 gets cookies from Felix and Norton delivered straight to their door. You don't even have to leave the house. They're just going to show up on your doorstep. Our question this week, in Quebec, who is responsible for preparing and certifying the deed of sale during a real estate transaction? If you think you know it, 514-790-0800, and make sure you include your name so we can give you a shout out, give you the credit.
That could be a trick question.
Could it?
Oh, it could be a trick question.
Oh, God, no.
I think it's an easy one this week.
I think it's an easy
It could be
one.
a trick question.
Oh, boy. Hopefully it's not a trick question. A lot of stuff going on in the news this week. Of course, we have the election coming up tomorrow, April 28th. If you have not yet voted, polls are open from 9:30 a.m. till 9:30 p.m., I believe. Double check your voter registration card and you can go out and vote tomorrow if you haven't already. Also, the Bank of Canada opted to hold its interest rate. Now, their decision to hold at 2.75%, could that cool down Montreal's real estate market? I know Montreal, Quebec in general, we're always a little bit different than the rest of Canada. What are you expecting, LJ?
I expect no change. The reality is they decided to hold, as far as I'm concerned, because of all the instability in the markets that we've been seeing. But all this meant is that no change means we're going to continue to be a hot market in Montreal. People are going to continue to be out there. There was a multiplex that we put an offer on this week with a client. The property was listed, I think, at $2.1 million, and it ended up receiving 33 offers.
Wow.
So
33 offers.
33 offers. Now, obviously, the listing broker underlisted a little bit to generate this kind of action, but it just goes to show that there is a lot of appetite for real estate in the market right now. Even a couple properties that we listed at about $1.5 million have been garnering a lot of interest right now. So different price points. It used to just be the sub 500, sub 600 that was getting a lot of the interest. Right now, in different kind of price brackets, we're seeing that. So this hold just means business as usual in the greater Montreal area, which means that I expect the real estate market to keep on moving real quick.
What's the factor? Sorry, Robin. What's the factor? Is it not enough inventory, low interest rates? Like, why are we going back into, because multiple offers is one thing, but 33 offers is insanity.
In all fairness, it's the only time I've heard this 33 in recent history, if you will. I've seen a couple 2, a couple 8, 1 12 maybe. 33 is absolutely bonkers, but realistically, it's the mix of everything. You know, this property was in a good location, close to a metro station, good opportunity for optimization, but could still pick it up at a decent economic value. So your financing on it was going to be interesting on commercial terms. So that created a perfect storm of people who were interested in the product.
So, Robin, what are your thoughts on continued interest cuts, because we have 5 more occasions from the Bank of Canada this year?
We do.
Experts are saying 2, but I want to hear what the panel has to say.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't know how much value my input has on this. I'm not the expert, but I hang out with you guys.
You're the one with a variable rate mortgage, and you're the one who's sort of sitting back going,
exactly.
More they cut, the happier I am.
Exactly. So I've been sitting, I'm waiting for you to tell me that it's time to convert to a fixed rate. That's basically what I'm waiting for. When you tell me it's time, that's what I'm going to do.
Well, probably the best time will be early in 2026.
Really?
I think so, because the bond market, the forecast of the bond market probably will go down by 2026 more than this year.
Can we really make predictions that far out, given that we don't even know who the new Prime Minister of Canada is, and given what happens south of the border can change literally on a dime?
Experts are required to make these forecasts. A lot of people get paid a lot of money in the head economist seats of every single bank, obviously, so they have to make these predictions. Will it hold true? I mean, we never know what we're going to get, obviously, but this is the best information we have today, and that's what we got to go on.
Yeah, I went to check the bond market this morning because in preparation for the show, and since early April, it's really been flat. There's a lot of speculation, inflation, a lot of speculation on continuing interest cuts, uncertainty. So the bond market is just playing a wait and see. So obviously, the bond market has a direct factor on fixed rate mortgages, and I just don't see a lot of movement right now. I think they're going to hold the course that we're seeing currently.
So I'm better off sticking with my variable for now if we're expecting more cuts to come, probably.
Most likely.
Do you know what your discount is? It's prime minus something.
I don't know off the top of my head. I think it's prime minus 0.5 or something.
Yeah, we've seen some real lenders pulling back on the discount. So
they have been a lot, but some people, especially when you signed it, like for example, I got prime minus 1.05.
Okay.
So because of that, I'm currently at, I think it's 3.9 right now. The variable is relatively interesting right now. I'm going to hold there until it really either goes down or I see fixed rates really come down at this point. My maturity is at December 2026. So it gives you some context on kind of where we're at, where we're heading, and what could be possible.
I'm September 2026, so
at
we
that.
can be looking at the same time, shopping around together.
Yeah, but one thing could happen if the prime rates still continue to go down. Maybe you're going to keep up with your variable rate.
We expect it to happen right now.
Exactly. In fact, people says we're going to switch to a fixed rate, but if you have a rate cut of 0.50 or 0.75, it could be a good thing to hold to your variable rate.
And the best advice is to just know a little bit about your situation. When is your mortgage coming up to maturity? What is your interest rate? Are you variable? Are you fixed? I'm sure if you asked a lot of people, they probably couldn't answer those basic questions.
Can't.
I bet if you asked my husband, he probably couldn't answer those questions because I'm the one that oversees that stuff.
There was a funny reel on socials recently where it's kind of one of the wives goes up to a husband or vice versa, and it's like, I went and I emptied out our bank accounts, for example, and they're like, can you confirm which bank our bank accounts are with? And the other party has absolutely no idea.
Wow.
They say a random bank, right? And they're like, we don't have anything with that bank. It's okay. You can feel free to empty whatever you want there.
Yeah, it's crazy because people sign, and then 5 years later, they get a notification saying that your mortgage is reaching maturity. It's time to sign again, and they just sign again. They just keep going.
Well, they don't
And
realize they have another
within
option.
Exactly. Within those 5 years, they do nothing. And even 6 months prior to the maturity or the renewal date, they do nothing. They just let it ride. And there are so many opportunities. There's so many other options out there for you that it's your largest investment, the largest investment you're probably going to make. It's worth educating yourself and being on top of these things.
And if you have work that needs to be done around the house, that's the time to start thinking about it, right? I got a retaining wall that's going to need to be replaced very soon. When the mortgage comes up for renewal, that'll be part of the discussion because that's expensive. Replacing a retaining wall? Oh my goodness.
Landscaping is expensive.
Yes, it is. Before we wrap up and go to traffic for this segment, I wanted to also talk about the fact that nearly 500,000 Canadians took advantage of the First Home Savings Account, or FHSA as it's more commonly known, in its first year. So what are you guys seeing? Are you seeing more younger people in their 20s and 30s who are becoming motivated to start actually saving for their first home?
I think it's the best tool out there if you're first-time home buyers that you should not pass on. You could contribute up to $8,000 per year. It's a very, very good product, and it's one of the things that the government did very well in 2023 by having that first home saving account.
100%. It's the best product they've come up with. The fact that you get to reduce your taxable income and the fact that the money is growing tax-free and that you can utilize it for property, or if you choose not to and just roll it into your RSPs after, it's a no-brainer, effectively. So if you do not have one, run out or just open up your phone banking app and create one today because it's $8,000 per year from the time you have the account opened. It's not retroactive, so you lose the years of contribution if you didn't open the account.
Okay.
And you should look at stacking. We've talked a lot about it. And if you're a first-time home buyer, I would start off with the FHSA, first-time home. I knew I was going to blow it.
First-time home saving account.
Yep.
And then I would follow that up with the TFSA,
Tax-free savings account.
And then I would follow that up, if you've got the means, to contribute to your RRSPs.
I think I'd go the other way. I think I'd go FHSA, then RRSP, then TFSA, because you get the taxable income deduction on the first two, and then you roll it all into the TFSA at the end.
It all depends on how you want to use the money, though.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
I'd max up the TFSA because I would use part of that for those miscellaneous expenses after I buy my first home.
Fair.
Yeah, but also if you're a first-time home buyer, the RSP is still a very good vehicle.
Because
Yeah,
if you're in
you
that
can pull out
position,
60 grand, yeah.
exactly, you can
Yeah.
pull that out as well, and the fact that you are getting taxes back on one, taxes back on the other. We all know that we pay a lot of taxes in Canada, so if we can take advantage of that, why not?
So I think we all agree that we should stack these things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If you're not sure if now is the right time to become a first-time home buyer, you know who you should call? LJ. He can help you figure out whether now's the time to jump into the market. Give him a call at 514-500-4040, and he'll help you figure it out.
This is the Mortgage Minute.
Having trouble qualifying for a mortgage? Here are some lesser-known strategies that could help. This is your Mortgage Minute. If you're having trouble getting qualified, there are lesser-known options that could make a big difference. Cross-collateral. That's when you use the equity from another property to strengthen your file. A cosigner can support your application with their income and credit. A gift from a family member will strengthen your down payment and help you qualify more easily for a mortgage. Every file is unique, but one of these strategies might be the key for you.
That was our Mortgage Minute live in studio. Martin Spalding of Fred and Martin Mortgages, Fred Pichette of Fred and Martin Mortgages, LJ Aguinaga of LJ Realties, and Thierry Bourbonnais from Plex Doctor. We're all with you until 1 p.m. If you have any property management questions, by the way, give us a call or send us a text at 514-790-0800. Guys, I'm sure you've dealt with many different situations, different buying scenarios, different credit scores, different savings, different budgets, different income. There is no one way to buy a house. There is no one way to qualify for a mortgage. So I thought it would be fun if we chat a little bit about the different real world, real life examples of people you've helped get into a home. So you kind of talked about it a little bit there in your Mortgage Minute, Martin, but let's talk a little bit about cross collateral, because that's a term I've never heard until this week.
It's actually in the Mortgage Minute, there's a lot of conversation that takes place while we go to commercial breaks. And actually, Fred just brought up a really good idea that I had never thought of. So I'm going to throw it over to Fred and then bring it back to me for cross collateral.
Now, because thanks, Martin. The idea was a lot of first-time home buyer. I see that they have a lack of down payment. They usually have a good income or a decent credit, but they do not have the down payment or enough down payment to qualify. One of the idea was most of the time they ask their parents for a gift, and the parents are sometimes, I don't have that $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 to give to my kids, Why don't you help your kid to contribute to their FHSA? The maximum contribution is $8,000 per year. If your kid is capable to put $4,000 or $5,000 every year, you could tag another $4,000 and bring the contribution up to $8,000. 4 or 5 years later, you already have your down payment, $40,000, that's a good way to really help your kids and to qualify with your personal down payment. And not a gift. Like, this could be a good strategy instead of always asking a gift at the last minute to your parents.
Yeah, I think, and then LJ even said if you make it an automatic deduction just coming right out of your account, you won't even think about it,
Yeah,
right?
you don't feel it.
Yeah, a lot easier to do it that way. Okay, what is cross collateral? Explain this to me.
It's kind of self-explanatory. It's basically using the equity in another property. Often it's a property that you already own. So it's additional security for the mortgage. So the lender sees it as less risk because not only are they lending on your income and credit, but they're taking a lien on another property. So we have 2 examples, real world examples of deals that we just did. One is a couple that are buying a principal residence. They each own their own property, but they are struggling coming up with enough of a down payment. So we took a cross collateral. So we took a lien on one of their properties to help finance the down payment. So that was a property that they already owned.
Okay.
The second example is, again, another couple looking to buy a house, again, struggling with, one of them had some kind of difficult credit score. The other were struggling with the down payment. So one of the parents stepped up and said, why don't you take a lien against my property? So this was a parent. It wasn't one of the properties that they already owned, but it was a parent of one of the 2 that allowed them to take a lien on their property to help them qualify so they could actually purchase the house.
And how does that work when they're taking out a lien? Is that for the duration of the mortgage or is it for the duration of the term?
Well,
it's either or, right?
Yeah.
So you can actually, let's say for the first 5-year term, it can be a lien. And then if the couple financially can actually requalify without the lien on the property, you can take the lien off that property, whether it's the property that you own or your parents' property.
Or if you pay that lien of $75,000, you could have it removed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I've also seen another interesting situation for that product in particular. We had a client who was buying a property that they wanted to do a lot of renovations to. So the acquisition price was, let's say, about $950, and they wanted to put, I think, about $200,000 in renovations to the property. Instead of having to come up with all of that cash, so we're talking 20% on the $950 plus the $200,000, they were able to put a lien on one of their parents' houses and say, hey, we're good income earners. We can pay the interest. We can pay the mortgage on these, no problem. But coming up with the $350,000, $400,000 in cash was a little bit more complicated. If you allow us to do this lien, we'll pay for everything the entire way. We'll do the renovations. We'll then get the property reassessed and reevaluated, and we will be in the money on this, and then we'll effectively remove the lien from your property. And that's exactly what they did. And within, I think, 18 months, everything was said and done.
But in the property investment world, there's a lot of cross collateral that goes on because people are taking liens or using the equity from one property to finance the next property and so on and so forth, correct?
100%. Once you start to play the game of Monopoly, if you will, in the real estate world, and you can start building on these assets, then you always start leveraging one versus the other to start growing, because it's not realistic to think you'll always have an extra 150, 200K to start making acquisitions. So
What? What are you talking about?
I mean, if you can, all the power to you. But if not, I used to call it the rinse and repeat method, you know?
Yep, that makes a lot of sense. We actually have a couple questions coming in. If I may pause for a moment so we
Sure.
can answer some of these. Sylvie texts in, hi, if my mortgage is currently open variable, should I lock in my rate now or wait?
Oh,
What's
Great
your rate?
question.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's,
it
First
all
question
depends
is,
on
what's your rate?
Yeah, exactly.
That makes a huge difference.
and
Sylvie,
what's
tell
the
us.
what's the amount of your mortgage we're talking to, like? And are you willing to wait a little bit more to get a good interest rate in 6 months to a year? Could be a possibility, but a open mortgage, obviously, you pay a lot more right now.
Also,
Yeah.
roughly, what's the value of your property? So see if we're below that 65% threshold that
Yes,
you guys always
exactly.
talk about.
Sylvie, you know what you should do? You should give
Yeah,
Fred and
give-
Martin a
give
call.
us a call, yeah.
So you can talk through your options.
Send us
figure
your
it out.
mortgage statement, and we'll come back with a more.
Thorough answer.
Oh,
Exactly.
She says her rate is 4.7%.
Well,
That's
it's-
not
On an
terrible.
open rate, that's not bad at all.
No.
If it's an
For-
open rate, it's
So
pretty
she
good.
should hold
Yeah.
at the open rate for now.
Yeah, just
It
so-
depends
yeah.
what her plans are, though,
Yeah.
right? What are your long-term plans? Because, yes, without any other information, 4.7 open rate sounds great if she wants to sell soon or wants to make a move soon. But if her plan is to hold the property for 5 years plus, then she should put it on a better rate, realistically.
Yeah, she
course.
should lock it. Yeah.
For a 66-year-old senior who's about to retire, do you think a $100,000 down payment on a one-bedroom apartment is a wise thing to do, or should I continue renting? My rent is $900 a month.
$900 a month is
That's
not a lot,
crazy
It's-
low in
yeah.
Montreal.
In this market. Yeah.
I think at 66 years old, he's still young,
Yeah.
not that old. And,
Thanks, Red.
and I think investing is the right thing to do, because paying a rent for another 20, 25, 30 years at $1,000 a month, do the maths, it's a lot of money.
I'd want to know how much this property is going to cost him a month after he puts this $100,000 down payment on it, because obviously if he can have this asset, it can appreciate over the next 5, 10, 15, 30 years, etc. He can eventually put it on potentially a reverse mortgage if he wants. He has a lot more options available to him. So if he can get into an asset and his carrying costs aren't crazy more expensive than $900 a month, then it will make more sense to purchase it.
Also, where's that $100,000 invested currently,
Exactly.
and what's it generating?
Yep, very important information. We have a question about Airbnb that also came in, which I think will be perfect to chat about after the news. To find out more about your lending options, Fred and Martin are the smartest guys in the city when it comes to this stuff.
Whoa.
Go to their website, fredandmartin.com. You can book a meeting. You can give them a call. Their phone numbers are there. Tons of information. They are the people that you want to speak to. You are listening to Under One Roof MTL on CJD 800. We're with you until 1 p.m. In studio, as always, is Fred Pichette and Martin Spalding of Fred and Martin Mortgages, LJ Aguinaga of LJ Realties, and we're also joined by Thierry Bourbonnais from Plex Doctor. We are going to be talking everything property management in just a moment, but we did have an Airbnb question that I referenced before the news that I'd like to get to. This comes from Chris. He says, I have a question about Airbnb and renting. I know that the rules have changed in terms of renting on Airbnb in Montreal. Can you chat a little bit about the new regulations for renting out part of your house? They have a 3.5 in their basement, so they usually rent out that space on Airbnb, but can they still do that?
So, to the best of my understanding, and again, it's changing rapidly, so we are now only allowed to rent on Airbnb for the months of June to September.
Okay.
Now, that is the provision that the Mayor Plante put in, so I'm not sure if it only affects the agglomeration of Montreal. So, if let's say you're in Pointe Claire, that's not part of that, you might not be affected by it. It's also important to check with your municipality what the current bylaws are for renting out on Airbnb, for short-term rentals, all sorts of that. A lot of the times, you'll be surprised on what you are and are not allowed to do. I know that there was provisions for allowing you to rent out your principal residence at a temporary basis, so you might fall under that provision, but I would double check with the municipality on what is actually allowed and not coming up this year for you.
Yeah, very important. Always make sure you're following the rules so you don't get in trouble if somebody files a complaint.
I was going to add one thing. Is it a legal apartment?
Does that matter for Airbnb?
Airbnb does not care about a lot of things as far as I've been told, but it does matter for your municipality.
Exactly.
And
Once
your
you post it,
insurance
then
is the biggest thing, because if you are renting on Airbnb, you do want to be insured for short-term rentals. A lot of people don't realize that, and they say, oh yeah, I have the space, I'm just going to rent it out. It is a completely different insurance policy if you are on short-term, and if you have been running short-terms and you don't have that insurance policy, and God forbid there is a fire or some sort of accident that happens, you're not covered. And that is a huge risk to be taking.
Yep, exactly. Especially with strangers that you don't know or trust who are using
Exactly.
your space. Okay, let's talk property management, because there's a lot of people who listen to this show who own multiple properties or they own plexes. And we're always talking about Plex Doctor. Go to plexdoctor.com, by the way, if you have a second. That's plexdr.com. So we're super happy. We talk about Thierry Bourbonnais so much that you're basically part of the family at this point. He's the COO at Plex Doctor. So Thierry, why don't you just start by telling us exactly what a property management company does? What does your day-to-day look like?
So basically, my day-to-day, that's what I like. It's changing a lot. It's really different. It's particular to property management. We do everything from renting the apartment to tenant screening. Also, we do rent collection. But we try to go behind that and really analyze the property and make sure the structure and the strategies are in place for the landlord to get the best value possible on the asset.
I know tenant screening is a big one for people, and that's probably the thing they enjoy outsourcing the most. What does a tenant screening process look like?
Mostly, first of all, we try really to communicate with them, make sure the communication is great, and then after we do the showing. While doing the showing, we have some, I will say, soft skill also analyzes when we talk to them and we do the presentation. We make sure that it's a good fit for them, honestly, and for the landlord also. Then we do a full review on their credit, background check, and history with the landlord.
I think a lot of people don't realize that. They used to think that all I needed to do was run my credit to apply for an apartment, but it's becoming more and more common to do full background checks, checking for a criminal record, things like that, right?
Yeah.
Do you ask for references as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And what would a reference look like? Does it have to be a former landlord? Like what
Like
if
a
somebody's
previous-
applying for their
Absolutely.
first apartment?
Yeah. And even there, we try to have as much as information as we can because we don't want to make sure it's the real landlord behind the line, because we get their phone number from the tenant. So we have all the information from the previous unit, and then we ask a question.
Perfect. Fred, Martin, did you guys have any questions for Thierry?
No, I'm just wondering because in our portfolio, a lot of people owns multiple property, and I hear often from my clients, "Oh, I'm a little bit fed up of all those tenants and they calling me at night." Is that something you guys take care of from full service from A to Z? You're taking care of everything?
Exactly. And it's really important, I think, to make the difference because usually the service call come late at night, on Christmas Eve, or at the moment it's inconvenient for the landlord. We're there 24/7, and we also have the connection to be able to react fast because I don't know if it ever happened to you, but if the pipe bursts at 2 a.m., you call the plumber, they're busy. They're going to tell you, I'm going to come tomorrow. I'm going to come in 2 days. With us, we're able to have a connection, a fast reaction. It can make a huge difference between like a disaster of $50,000 or a call for $200 just to have a quick repair.
So you're a first-time investor. Is it wise to work with a property management company? I'm looking at both LJ and Thierry. Because basically when you buy your first property, you actually don't know what you don't know. And so you may get into something that you underestimated. So is it wise on your first property to go with a property management company?
So I always tell people when you're buying your first property, you should self-manage it probably for the first year. So
Okay.
you can understand roughly what's going on, how things work. I suggest you obviously reach out to either a realtor or a property management company to get some consulting services. We're actually adding the consulting portfolio to our business as well. So if you're looking for help with day-to-day questions or somebody who you're just not sure how to manage the maintenance of your house, we're going to be reaching out to people to just, hey, you know what, you can pay us a monthly consulting fee effectively, and we'll take care of organizing all of the annual maintenance on your property and help you with all those things. But you want to have access to resources to help you along the way, but you want to go through it so you understand what the pain points are, what the struggles are, and you actually value the service of the company after. Because if you've never gone through it, you're not really going to value what they're taking off of your plate. You're just going to feel like you have an expense item as opposed to an investment that you're actually making into this property and into your business.
So again, building on that, what's one of the misconceptions that property management have the reputation of?
So the biggest thing I'd say is the reality is in our market, there is a very low barrier to entry. Technically, anybody can open a property management company tomorrow. And because of that, there's a lot of people doing terrible jobs in property management. They're doing the bare minimum to state that I've taken the load off of you and therefore I'm going to charge you a commission or a fee or whatever it is for managing the property. That is unfortunately given property management a really terrible rap in a lot of different places, including in Montreal. We come in as professionals. I've been doing this for 17 years. I have a portfolio of over 70 properties. I do this for a living, and we treat every single one of our properties as if it was one of our own. Terry's also built a portfolio on his side. So we have a lot of experience, and because of that know-how, because of the amount of times we've gone to the rental board, the conversations we've had with real estate lawyers, the 3 a.m. calls we've had to fix a roof plumbing issue that we've been, we've gone through the ringer, and that's the experience that we bring to the table, and that's why we're suited to manage this for you. And we really take it very personally. We ask for our clients for reviews. We ask tenants for reviews because we want to make sure we're providing an excellent service for everybody and that everyone's getting their money's worth is the reality.
Another question for you guys. Are you also managing the increase every year, or it's part of your job? Or?
Yeah, we do the documentation. So we also, according to the calculator of the TAL, we ask the owner all their information on the expenses they made that year, and we ran it through the calculator, and then we do the recommendation that we will submit to the landlord, and then we discuss it and we present it to the tenant.
We'll also submit the RL31s, which is another thing that most people aren't aware of or forget to do.
Yes.
We take care of all that documentation, all that paperwork. We have all of our reminders, obviously. We'll do twice a year annual maintenance walkthroughs to see what the property's condition is, to see if we need to send somebody for caulking, walk the roofs, check roof drains, all these little things to avoid
shoveling
you having...
the snow.
If that were to be 100%. We have, obviously, our roofing company on call. We have contracts with them. We have contracts with our plumbers. Last year, we had a project that we found this really cool roof drain cover that is a lot larger than your typical cover, and we offered it to all of our clients because roof drains cause obviously your roof to overfill if it gets blocked, and then you have a ceiling water coming through from the top floor, and it becomes a much larger problem where if you were to invest maybe $500 in this roof drain cover, you're probably going to prevent this issue. So whenever we see a nice new way to prevent damage, that's what we present to all of our clients.
If you only had 5 minutes to speak to somebody and convince them to hire a property management company, what would be your hard sell? What would be your elevator pitch?
Like I will say, it will be to build your power team as an investor also. So you have a long-term vision about your investment. The property manager will help you on the day-to-day aspects to make you focus a little bit more on the big picture, because you're going to have the financing, the buying of the property that as itself a long time, and when you get that call, like it's always an emergency with the tenant. Yeah. So you need somebody like to lean on and make sure everything is in order in that case.
If you are ready to take the hassle out of property management, give the Plex Doctor a call. The number is 514-709-6397. You can also visit the website Plex Doctor, that's plexdr.com. This is Under One Roof MTL on CJD 800. I'm Robin, that's Fred, that's Martin, that's LJ, that's Thierry. Full house, everybody in studio. I think we had to bring in an extra chair. The studio is full today. Our property of the week, we are heading downtown where all the action is going to be tonight around 7 p.m. for Game 4. Habs, Caps, go Habs, go. Where are you taking us, LJ?
I'm taking you just a couple steps from there, actually. Are you dreaming of luxury living right in downtown Montreal? Get ready to fall in love with 540 Rue Lucien Lallier, a fully renovated showstopper on one of the city's most prestigious crescents. This 3-bedroom beauty blends cutting-edge tech with timeless style. Think a chef's dream kitchen, custom millwork, a Control4 smart home system, and a private backyard oasis complete with a brand new spa. plus a private garage, heated floors, and space for a home gym. Steps away from the Bell Center, Metro, parks, and Montreal's hottest restaurants. It's the perfect mix of excitement and elegance. Listed for $1.5 million, don't miss your chance. Stop by our open house today from 2 to 4 p.m. Amanda will be there to greet you. Also, if you're in the market, feel free to stop by our other open houses. We've got one at 1910 Rue des Bassins in Griffintown. I'll be there myself. It's a 2-bedroom unit with indoor garage listed at $599. And if you're in Vaudreuil, check out our open house at 2876 Rue Montcalm in Vaudreuil, another 2-bedroom unit with 2 outdoor parking spots listed for $300,000. This is a great opportunity for somebody looking to be an owner-occupant before the end of the year. It's currently rented, but if you can take it back, you've got a great price on an excellent asset.
Yeah, I think
over.
Martin might be there at 2 o'clock as well, because Martin really likes this property.
Vaudreuil is a great neighborhood these days. I got friends who've bought houses out there, and it's just really, really nice.
We have this property, honestly, I have comps at about 350, 370. So if you are looking for an excellent deal on the market right now, this is a property for you.
How come it's 300?
Because the fact of the matter is the clients want to effectively get out of this investment. There's a tenant in there right now. They're looking to buy into a larger house. They just need to move the funds quickly, and just timing is what it is sometimes. So we priced it really aggressively to get somebody in there. And like I said, anybody who wants to own or occupy and is okay taking it in December, they can have the tenant until then, and off we go.
It's a pretty good price, yeah.
It's an excellent price.
Yeah, you're not going to find
There's
better
still
than
some
that.
deals out there.
There are still some deals, yeah.
You just got to work with the right broker. They'll help you find the right price, the right unit, house, condo, whatever it is that you're looking for. You're going to find the right space for you. Investment, that too. Plex, whatever you need. These guys can help you. Let's answer our trivia question of the week, which apparently is a trick question. Whoopsies. Brought to you by Felix and Norton Cookies, 514-790-0800. The first person to text in the correct response was Maria in Quebec, who is responsible for preparing and certifying the deed of sale during a real estate transaction. The answer is a notary. A notary in Quebec is the one that handles all of that. Why was that a trick question? Can somebody else do it?
Because when you're doing the transaction, you could easily have thought, oh, maybe it's the real estate agent that's actually taking care of that for me.
They don't certify it, though. It wasn't true. You might not know the answer, but...
Yeah, so the notary is the one that certifies the deed of sale during
100%.
the transaction.
There's no trick there.
And in Ontario, it's not a notary at all.
Real estate lawyer.
Lawyer.
You're ganging up on me. It's a solicitor in Ontario.
Quebec is different in so many ways.
We're civil code. We have our own law procedures for everything.
Everything is different here. Okay, what did we learn this week? We learned that FHSAs are a great way to save for a first home, and a lot of young Canadians are taking advantage of it. We also found out that there are many different ways to get into a home, including cross-collateral, a term that I learned this week. And we also learned that a lot of work goes into managing properties, plexes. So if you are an owner of a plex or multiple properties, you may want to consider working with a property management company like Plex Doctor. They'll be happy to help you out. And in fact, Thierry, where do people go to reach out to the Plex Doctor?
They can reach out on the website, so plexdoctor.com, or directly calling us.
Perfect. And the number to call you is 514-709...
6397.
6397.
And I do want to say the website was just completely revamped again, and it was relaunched on Friday, so you can go check it out. There's some new photos on there, new sections on there, all sorts of good stuff for you.
Amazing. LJ, where do people go to get in touch with you directly?
Check out my website, ljrealties.com. That's LJ Realties with an IES, or on all socials with the handle LJ Aguinaga, LJAGUINAGA, or LJ Realties. You can also call or text me at 514-500-4040.
Very cool. Fred, Martin, where do people go to get in touch with you?
FredMartin.com, FredandMartin.com, and
FredandMartin.com.
You'll love to hear it. If you missed anything, by the way, this show is available in its entirety as a podcast on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple, wherever you listen to podcasts, you'll be able to find Under One Roof MTL.
How do we reach Thierry?
We did Thierry first.
Oh, did we?
Yeah.
Plex Doctor? Okay,
Plex Doctor. Yeah. We gave the
Just making
website,
sure.
the phone number. We covered 709-6397. That's the phone number.
All right.
Okay, that one's starting to be committed to memory, I think. We've said it so many times. Okay, for LJ, Fred, and Martin, we also want to remind you to get out there and vote. Very important to vote tomorrow, April 28th. This is your last chance. No more advance polls. The actual election is tomorrow. We will know who is the winner by tomorrow night. There is election coverage going on, so you can watch everything. I believe CJD 800 also has election coverage tomorrow evening.
Are we going to have a new prime minister or a new governor?
Governor of the 51st state.
Governor!
Hopefully we stick with the Prime Minister for a very, very, very long time. My thanks to Dean and Master Control and the guy that he is training. Welcome to the team.
Hey, guy.
Great to have you here. For LJ, Fred, Martin, and Thierry, I'm Robin. Have a wonderful Sunday.